We're not supposed to do that. So we give him the fruit of our lips, as we know, from Hebrews chapter 13, verse 15. This is how we give our offering now, because we are the spiritual temple. And our voices is the ascending offering. Our singing is an ascending offering unto Yahuah. Our praise and worship to him by our words, palaling to him, is our ascending offering. This is what is required of his people. This is how we worship him in Ruach and in Amat, in truth, in spirit and in truth. We do it from the inside, not with physical tools anymore. But we do this as a remembrance, as he has instructed us to our understanding and ability. But all of this shall be perfected in the way it's supposed to be kept, to the T, which is why we know that the Torah hasn't been done away with. When the Mashiach, our high priest, our Hakadol, who stands before his people, will show us exactly how this is to be kept all the way into eternity, 3 times a year, as it has been written. So for any of you who are keeping the feast days as I am, that will be the day after the Shabbat. So it's the day after tomorrow, which is the 26th day of the first month, that we are to give praise to him. Now, do you see anywhere here, and let us continue to read. Now, we read about here in verse 13 about this grain offering, right, mixed with a drink offering. And you do not eat bread or roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Yahuah Elohim. When is that offering brought? Well, he just told us about it. He told us about the lamb, and he told us about the grain offering. Once you have completed those 2 things, you can now eat bread and grain. This is why it says until that same day you have brought an offering to your Yahuah Elohim. This is a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So what do? Same applies to us. After the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Hamasot, that we just did for 7 days, even though you may not eat unleavened bread after that point, because you got to remember, he specifically told us to eat unleavened bread for 7 days, or 7 evenings rather, okay? And that you are not to eat any leavened bread. It's not to be found in your home. We know that to be understood spiritually speaking, that you are not to be leavened, right? No pride, no boastfulness. You are to walk in purity, clean, a pure loaf, right? That's not leavened. An unleavened bread. That's how we're supposed to be for 7 days, right? Right after that is completed, it doesn't mean you can go and eat bread. The only bread that you're still allowed to eat would be unleavened bread, if you're going to eat bread. But it's not until you get down here to verse 13, where it talks about this grain offering that you are supposed to present to him. Again, we don't do these things to the letter. We do it now from the Ruach. And it goes on and says in verse 14, which is the reason why it seems to be told to us right after that, and you do not eat bread. And you do not eat bread. So it's telling us from this point, looking back at from since unleavened bread, you do not eat bread until, that's what it says here, until, that's what it says, the same day that you have brought an offering to your Yahuah Elohim. And again, what is the offering for us these days? Hebrews chapter 13, verse 15. Let me bring this up. says here, verse 15, through him then, through the Messiah then, let us continually, remember, these things were to be done continually before the Most High place on the altar of incense. And then you also had the slaughter place for the animal offerings. These are two different basins, two different altars. One was for incense burning, and the other one was for offerings of grain, and fruits, harvest types, and also animals was to be put on the big slaughter place offering. So here it says we are to offer up a slaughter offering of praise to Yahuah Elohim. That is, and so the Hebrew writer is letting us know what that is, what he's talking about here, about this slaughter offering of praise. That is the fruit of our lips. How? Giving thanks to his name. Why are we giving thanks to his name? Because his name has meaning. As you all know, for those of you who are in this truth, we know that Jesus doesn't have meaning when it applies to salvation. And I know this bothers some people to hear this truth, but it is for your own being that you are to look into these matters. It's for yourself. It's not for bragging rights. It's not so that you would know that, oh, I see that Jesus doesn't mean salvation. No, it's for you and I to realize what his true name was. And we give thanks to his true name because his name has meaning. There was a purpose behind his name. But let me digress to what I'm talking about here. So the Feast of First Fruits is to be done the day after the Sabbath. That is when the priest waves it. You and I both know we are just waiting to be kings and priests and ruling and reigning with our Mashiach. If we are spiritually the temple, then by proxy, we must also be the priest of the temple. We are to conduct this temple in accordance to the laws of the priesthood, the kahunah. You and I are priests. This is why we're learning the calendar, because the priesthood had to know the calendar, the appointed times. They are the ones who instruct the people when the appointed times were to be done. We're all in training right now. Yes, Cody Jackie, this includes the women. Because again, we're thinking physically. Right now, the only priesthood that has ever been shown to Yasharal, and that's a great question. I'm glad that you brought it up. The only priesthood that has ever been shown physically to Yasharal that has been written in this book is that of the males. Okay? That of the males. But that was for a purpose. Because of who he is. And the reason why he created Woman. He is the one that's first. And so he created Adam in his image. And so showing us through the storyline of Adam's kind, he's showing us his masculinity. If you're reading the word, you're seeing it. Okay, you see that he calls himself the Father. You see that he did not make and come into the form of a daughter into this world. He came in as a male, a son into this world. Bane, right? We're being told something through, again, the storyline of Adam and Yahuah and through Adam's kind. And so the priesthood, we're told, were males over the age of 20 who could be in service to Abba Yahuah from 20 to 50 years old before the Most High place. We don't see any women being spoken of there. When the Messiah came down, he chose 12 men to be his inner circle. He said, and he even chose one who was going to betray him. Does this exclude the women, our sisters? No, it doesn't. Scripture is very kind to the strength of the Amunah of our Akodis, that us men always seem to be short for some reason, but this is the truth. You see it again in Scripture. When there was a strong woman, there was a strong woman. That woman was strong, okay? Strong. And we see this all throughout Scripture, even when the Messiah was being tortured and was led to his grave. And even the day when he was resurrected, who were the first ones to go to the grave? Was it the inner 12? Was it any of the disciples, the Talmudim? No, it wasn't. It was the sisters. They've always been there. And this is why even here with us that are coming into the truth, we notice that there are more Akodis than there are Akis that are coming into this truth. So I share all that to say this. As the Messiah says that there will not be male or female, we'll be just like the angels. Yes, Yahuah identifies himself as a male, but there's this also the female, the feminine trait that he has given us, and this is how he can create a woman to be that opposite, but the two become one flesh, as if saying that they are now complete. Adam having Yahuah. Why? Because she comes from him. She comes from Adam. And so in the end, we're all going to be one, just as he and the Father are one. This is what he says in John chapter 17. In the book of Revelation, let me show you this. And I think this might answer your question, Akodi Jackie. Let's read this together. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. I want y'all to think about what we just talked about right now about what about the women? Are they part of the priesthood? Let's see. Verse 4, and I saw thrones, plural, and they, who are they? We're about to be told, who sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded, is telling you who the they and those are, them are. Those who had been beheaded because of the witness, that word right there, martus in the Greek, also means testimony. Because of the testimony that they bore to Yahusha. Who did they bore to? Who did they bear witness of? The Mashiach. They didn't deny him nor his name. And because of the word of Elohim, meaning that they were keeping the Tanakh, the so-called Old Testament, the Old Agreement. This is the word of Elohim, Genesis to Malachi. And who did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived, who they were, the ones who were given these thrones, and judgment was given to them. They lived and reigned with the Messiah for 1,000 years. Now, let me ask you a question. Did it say anything about there that the only ones who were beheaded were males? Did it say specifically that the only ones who are going to be beheaded are males? Exactly. It does not. So who is this speaking of? Salvation doesn't care about your gender. Yahuah does not care about your gender. Yes, on this side of eternity, we have a role to play. This is let me back that up. We have a role to do. Let me not use the word play because there's nothing to be played about. We have a role to do, accomplish, to complete if we know our purpose as a male and a female. We don't usurp our right, our authority that has been given to us. Because if we step out of bounds of our authority that was given to us, we are in rebellion. We are being disobedient. Do you guys hear what I'm saying here? This is talking about us as male and females. Nothing has changed on this side of the Jordan before we go into the promised land of a woman being in the place of a man and a man being in the place of a woman. That is still going on right now. This is why when we come into times of appointment, when we have a mixed multitude of people that are together, Yahuah will raise a male to oversee the time of appointment to be observed in the camp of Yasharal. People like to say, but what if this, and what if that, and what if there's no other guy but a woman? These are the ifs, and that. And look, if that is the case, Yahuah will see to it. Yahuah will see to it. But don't give me no scenarios. I'm just telling you what the scripture is revealing to us. So yes, on this side of eternity, the priesthood physically is a male. But on the other side, when all this is said and done, and we all have accomplished our part that we were to do, that was given to us for our purpose, each one of us has a purpose, and we complete that as the body of the Mashiach, then we all, you and I, Yasharal or Greek, male or female, free or enslaved, we are one in the Mashiach, and we are going to rule, and we are going to reign with our Mashiach for 1,000 years and more, forever. And that is male and female on this side of eternity who gets to partake of the first resurrection. So you that are hearing my voice, if you didn't know that you have been given an invitation, that you have been called, well, you had just been given an invitation today. You have been called by hearing what was just shared with you. You have the opportunity to be part of that kingdom, to be a part of that priesthood that is forever. There is no greater calling that has been given to us than that we be obedient to him who created us, and he shall reward you with everlasting life. For this reason, we were created. And he's going to throw in all kinds of things, because what father would not reward their children? And so he says, I go to prepare a place for you. And if it was not so, I would tell you so. Where I go, you will be there with me. He says, the way you know, he says, this is the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. We have a movement right now that is happening within the body of the Nazarene that want to push aside the Messiah because they don't understand that the Messiah is the Father. And they want to go directly to the Father because they say, well, the Messiah gave us the example. This is how we ought to pray. This is how we ought to fast. This is how we ought to give. They forget the purpose of why the Messiah came in the form of a man, in literal mortal flesh. He came down to do what no one could do but himself. He's the one that has opened our eyes to this truth. And just because we are in this truth and we don't be obedient to him, you're just as much to him as a non-believer. And so for those of you who are hearing my voice today, an invitation has been given to you by our Creator, not by me, that anyone who would come into the agreement with Israel as he made with Israel, he didn't make it with any other people. You see, this is the lie. And this is where it's going to start getting touchy for some of you. This is the lie that has been fed to many of us, that you must become a Christian. Some of you aren't going to hear out this matter. And so that many will apply to you, that you are one of the many who were called. But out of the many, only few shall be chosen. I hope you are all going to be chosen and you stick around to hear about this lie that we have been told. You see here in Revelation chapter 20, verse 4, we talked about these people who are going to be on these thrones. And it talks about how judgment was given to them. It talked about how they were unalived. It even goes as far as to identify who these people were because what? Because of the witness, the testimony that they have of Yahushua. If these people have the testimony of Yahushua, why were they beheaded? If they were supposed to be those of the Christian belief to say that you are getting raptured out of here, then they like to say, oh, well, you don't understand. That's the tribulation saints. That's different than the church. The church is going to be whisked away out of here. We're going to be gone. We're going to be sitting up there for 7 years while the world is going through all this tribulation. And when the Antichrist is revealed, right? This is ringing a lot of bells for a lot of you, right? And then you try to tell them or ask them, show that to me in the book. And this is what they'll do. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Okay, let's go to 1 Corinthians. Let's see what 1 Corinthians says about this thing that you call the rapture. Because I like to show you that it's a lie. And if you can stomach it, you're going to see it. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. What does it say here? Let's start here at verse 50. The apostle Shaul, who they changed his name to Paul, says, and this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood, physical bodies, is unable to inherit the reign, the kingdom of Yahuah Elohim, the mighty of mighty ones. Your translation may say God. That's a pagan title we don't use. Hence, it's removed from this translation because the translators know that the word God is a pagan title, just as a side note. So again, and this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of Yahuah Elohim, the mighty of mighty ones. Neither does corruption inherit incorruption. Okay? Notice that corruption can inherit incorruption. Notice verse 51. See, I speak a secret to you. Yours may say a mystery to you, a hidden secret. We shall not all sleep, we shall not all die, but we shall be changed in a moment, not taken in a moment, changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. So our bodies are going to change as fast as you can blink. It's physically going to change as fast as you can blink. Like bam! Now you got an incorruptible body. But when will this happen? At the last trumpet. Let's stop right there. This is what happens when you don't have great reading comprehension. If you don't realize what is being told to you, it's telling you when this is going to happen. The apostle Shaul, Paul, he's telling you when this resurrection is to occur. He says it's going to happen at the last trumpet. Well, the scripture tells us, let every word be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. So what is this last trumpet? Where can we find a first trumpet to know where the last trumpet is? It must be in the book of Revelation, because that's the only one that I know that talks about a first trumpet and a second trumpet and a third trumpet and a fourth trumpet and a fifth trumpet and a sixth trumpet. And then there's a seventh trumpet. You know what? I wonder if the last trumpet has any correlation to the seventh trumpet. Let's take a gander. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11 speaks this way. And the seventh messenger, yours will say, and the seventh angel, the seventh malach, sounded. And there came to be loud voices in the heaven, or in the Shama, saying, the reign, the kingdom of this world has become the reign or the kingdom of our master and of his anointed one, his Mashiach. And he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders sitting before Yahuah Elohim on their thrones fell on their faces and worshipped Yahuah Elohim, and saying, we give you thanks, O Yahuah, Al Shaddai, which means the Almighty, the one who is, and who was, and who is coming. We know who is the one who's coming, the Messiah, and yet the Messiah is called O Yahuah, El Shaddai, the Almighty, the one who is, present, who was, past, who is coming, future, second coming, because you have taken your great power and reigned. And the nations were enraged, and your wrath has come. Notice what the next verse says, or the next sentence. And the time of the dead to be judged. When does this happen? At the seventh trumpet. What is the seventh trumpet? It sounds like a resurrection. This must be the last trumpet that was shown to Shaul, whom certain people like to say, oh, he's a false apostle. To be an apostle, you must have been there to have witnessed the Messiah and his walk. So Paul is a false apostle. Don't even get me started with that one. Let's get back to what we're talking about. This is talking about the last trumpet. Again, it says, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead to be judged. For the time of the dead to be judged, they must be resurrected. How? So that they've been given their reward to your servants, the prophets. These are the ones who are getting resurrected. The prophets, and who else? And to the set apart ones, that's you and me. And to those who fear your name, small and great, they're the only ones who are going to be resurrected in the first resurrection, which is called the last trumpet or the seventh trumpet. But when does this occur? This occurs at the end of the tribulation, not the beginning. Let me show you in case you don't think I know what I'm talking about. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Remember what we just read about, the last trumpet, right? Okay. And remember what we just read about what it said in First Corinthians. It says that we'll be changed in a twinkling of an eye, right? All right. And then it talks about how we're going to be taken and gathered up together with him. Okay. But the dead shall be resurrected first, as it says in First Thessalonians chapter 4. And then we who are alive shall be taken also. Right? When does this happen? At the seventh trumpet, which is also known as the last trumpet. And the Messiah talks about this last trumpet and this seventh trumpet. Notice what he calls it when he tells this to his disciples in Matthew chapter 24, also known as the Olivet Discourse. This is the question that they asked him. First, they asked him, and he sat down at the Mount of Olives, and the taught ones, his disciples, came to him separately, saying, say to us, when shall this be? When shall what be? When the temple is going to be destroyed. Because he told them, not one stone shall be left upon another that shall not be thrown down. The very first thing they wanted to know is, when is this going to happen? Which you just told us about, not one stone being left upon the other. And then it doesn't stop there with the questioning. They go on and say, and notice this. They asked, and what is the sign of your coming? The sign of your coming? So at this point, they understand that the Messiah is not going to set up the kingdom, because they're asking him, what is the sign of your coming? But he's there in their presence right now. How can they be asking him, what is the sign of your coming, when you're here with them? Why are they asking him this? Or were they saying this by the inspiration of the Spirit? And don't even recognize what they're saying, that it was the Spirit that moved upon them to ask this question. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. But this is very intriguing to see that they're asking him, what is the sign of your coming? And then they say, and of the end of the age. In case we think that they're talking about something else, they're literally talking about the erecting of the millennial kingdom. When is this going to happen? So he tells them all these things that are supposed to happen right before he comes. And so it says here, verse 29, and immediately after the distress of those days. Let me read that in the King James Version. I think it's going to shock some of you. Let me read this out of the King James Version. Give me a second, everyone. Matthew 24. All right. Let's start at verse 21. Verse 21 of 24. Okay? This is for all you pre-trib rapture believing people out there. I used to be when I used to preach it and teach it. I'm telling you, I everything that I'm telling you guys right now is the reason why I know that doctrine very well, the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine, because I was a staunch believer in it. I had all the Left Behind series, the books, the movies. You get my drift. You get where I'm coming from. I was indoctrinated in this pre-tribulation rapture stuff. Okay? But notice what it says here in verse 21 of Matthew chapter 24. Follow me. Follow what the word is saying here. For then there shall be great tribulation, such as not since the beginning of the world to this time. Speaking of this time of great tribulation. From the beginning of the world until that time of the great tribulation, there shall never be a time like that ever again, nor ever shall be. And so the Messiah goes on and says, and if except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Now, Christianity will have you to believe that that's talking about the Jews, the Jewish people, that those are the elect ones, because they, the Christians, have classified themselves as, we're out of here. We ain't going to be dealing with this. We flying away. Before this great tribulation comes, we out of here. So the ones that's going to be dealing with this are the elect ones. It has to do with the Jews. It has to do with the promises that was made to the Israelites. But this is where Christianity gets it all messed up and causes the confusion in the hearts and in the minds of men and women, because they don't understand prophecy, because they're looking at the wrong people as the ones who are the people of the book. And when you do that, it messes up your whole eschatological understanding, your whole end time understanding. So it says here about the elect's sake. Who is the elect's sake? Those who believe in the Messiah. Those are the ones who are the elect. Remember, he says, I chose you. You did not choose me. He elected us. We did not elect ourselves. We are the elect ones. So he is going to shorten those days. So then he talks about his second appearing. Then if a man should say unto you, lo, here's the Messiah, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show you great signs and wonders. This is why you cannot follow signs and wonders. Let me show you how deep this goes in a moment. It goes on and says, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Again, the same elect's sake that he says he is going to shorten those days. If it was possible, these signs and wonders could even cause us, those who believe in the truth, to believe the lie. It's going to be that strong of a delusion. He says, behold, I have told you before. Therefore, if they say to you, behold, he is in the desert, go not after it. Behold, if he is in the secret chambers, don't believe it. Talking about in their temples, the secret chambers. Don't believe it. He says, for as the lightning comes in the east and shines even into the west, so shall also the coming, paraiusa in the Greek, of the son of Adam be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles or the vultures, the buzzards, be gathered together. These are those that eat on the flesh of dead things. But notice what verse 29 says. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Verse 30. And then shall the sign, or shall appear the sign of the son of Adam in heaven, what we would call space. And then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the son of Adam coming in the clouds. This is the second coming of heaven with power and great esteem. Now here we go. And he, that is the Messiah, shall send his angels. This is where he's going to gather up his saints with a great sound of a what? A trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. This is the rapture. It happens immediately after the tribulation of those days and not before. This is why he says, he who endures until death shall have everlasting life. We have been fed a lie. We have been all fed a lie. Because Christendom has a teaching, this false doctrine that says, number one, you don't have to keep the commandments. And yet the Messiah says you are to keep the commandments if you want everlasting life. But Christianity says, no, you don't. So who are you going to believe? You're going to believe your pastor and his interpretation of the word, how he twists up Paul's letters to tell you you don't have to keep the commandments? Or are you going to believe what the Messiah says? And he says it more than once, that you're supposed to keep the commandments if you want to inherit everlasting life. Which one are we to believe? I think we ought to believe the one who is the creator of heaven and earth. and not the interpretation of somebody behind a pulpit. This is the same reason why we believe in this pre-tribulation rapture, because we don't know the word. They have taken a little bit here and they've taken a little bit there, and they got you believing in pre-tribulation rapture with the so-called trumpet. But if you ask them, well, then what is the first trumpet if there's a last trumpet? Where's that first trumpet at? And if they go along and tell you, well, here it is in Revelation chapter 8. Okay, then by that understanding, Pastor, then wouldn't the seventh trumpet be the last trumpet? And if that is the case, then aren't we going through the tribulation and not out of tribulation? Because those seven trumpets occur in the tribulation. And you're teaching that we are not here for the tribulation, because we're going to hear this trumpet and we're going to be taken out of here before the anti-Messiah shows his face. Let me show you what it says and not what you've been told. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says this. In the King James, now we beseech you, brethren. Notice what he's about to talk about. By the coming, parousia in Greek, of our Master Yahushua, not J-E-S-U-S. We're going to get there in a minute about the name. The Messiah. And by our gathering, in case there's any mistake there, what we're talking about, remember, we're talking about his coming and our gathering unto him. This is what we would call the rapture. There is a rapture. There is a rapture. But it's not when we've been told. It's not what the church has been fed. It is not what Christianity believes and teaches. He's saying concerning the coming of our Messiah and our gathering unto him, that you not be shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us. He's saying because it ain't from us. If someone tells you that it's from us, as if it's from us, he says, as if the day of Yahuah, the Messiah, is at hand, let no man deceive you. He's saying, don't let nobody trick you. Don't let nobody trick you. Now he's about to tell them, this is what must happen. Let no one deceive you by any means. For that day, what day? The coming and gathering of us to our Messiah, the day of Yahuah. That day shall not come except, here we go, there come a falling away first. What is the falling away? I'm glad you asked that question. The falling away is that we do not adhere to the sound, true doctrine as the Messiah has taught us. And we've leaned our understanding after those who are now over us, teaching us their interpretation. So we have a whole bunch of rabbis. We just don't call them that, but that's what they are. We have a whole bunch of teachers, rabbis, that have become our spiritual leaders. And they're teaching us their inherited interpretation. They have inherited these lies from people who came before them. And those people who came before them, where did they get this? Who gave it to them? Why do we have it? Satan did this. He is the one who sowed the poison seed, the tares, when it was only supposed to be wheat out there. So Satan came and gave us a false teaching. This is the falling away, the apostasy. Apostasia in the Greek. This falling away is from sound doctrine, the original doctrine. That has already taken place and is still going on to this present day. It's still being taught to the children of Adam. All this paganism, All this pagan worship. It's not only Christianity, it's Islam too. It's Buddhism too. It's all the other religions on this earth. Not one of them is without paganism. The only true belief system that has been given to us was the one that was handed from the Creator to Abraham, Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob, Jacob to the 12 sons, 12 sons to the 12 tribes, the 12 tribes, and now allotted to those who are of the Gentiles, of the other nations, if they fall under and will submit themselves unto the same contract that was given to the children of Yasharal at Mount Sinai, and believing on the Messiah who came in the flesh as that word from Genesis to Malachi. So this is why the falling away has already started, and it's still going on to this very day, even in Christian circles. Satan has planted Christianity. And this is why Christianity does pagan holidays, and they take it on a pagan day called Sunday as a day of worship. All of this is pagan. The name Jesus is pagan. The cross, the image, is pagan. It predates Christianity. The Egyptians had it, pagan. The Babylonians had it, under Tammuz, pagan. So why does it shock us that the largest religion on the earth, called Christianity, would not be pagan? They have veered. They have fallen away. That has already happened. And then it says, and then the man of sin is to be revealed, the son of perdition. This is why translations are very important, because you see here, it just says, and the man of sin be revealed. As a Christian, you don't put the two and two together because you're not thinking from an Hebraic Israelite mindset. You're thinking of it as the way Christianity has taught you. Sin. What's sin? Christianity says all kinds of things are sin that's not rooted in the law. They say that keeping the commandments is sin. That's what Christianity teaches. If you're trying to keep the commandments, you're being a legalist. That's what they say. That's what I used to say until my eyes were open. This word here, and that the man of sin is to be revealed, the son of perdition. Let me show you how that should be written. The scriptures, TS 2009, words it this way. Take a look at this. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no one deceive you in any way, because the falling away, apostasia, the apostasy, is to come first. And the man of lawlessness is to be revealed, the son of destruction. What does it mean for this man, this anti-Messiah, to be called the man of lawlessness? Let's take ourselves out of the Roman understanding, the Christian understanding, the American English understanding. It's talking about not following the laws of Moses. They're lawless. This man does not follow Torah. He's Torahless. That's what Paul is talking about here. But we don't see that when you see the word, the man of sin. We don't see that because we're not taught that it's talking about the law, the Torah. He is literally speaking of the man who is going against the laws of Yahuah, the Creator. This is why he's anti-Messiah. He's a false Messiah, because what did the Messiah do? Did he not follow the laws? So he would be a man of law. This one is the opposite, the antithesis, the anti-Messiah. He's a rebel. He doesn't follow law. He's the one who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Yahuah Elohim. Yours would say the pagan word God, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as Yahuah Elohim in the dwelling place of Yahuah Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. This is why we know there's a third false temple coming, because he's going to show himself to the world, because this is what he's always wanted. He wanted worship. Halal, who they changed his name to Lucifer in the Latin, halal meaning praise, that's Satan's original name at creation. When he was created, Yahuah gave him the name praise, as we would say in English. Halal is where we get the word hallelujah. Praise I am. Praise Yah. So he's going to sit in this third temple showing himself that he is Elohim. Let's back up to what we were talking about. To the coming and the gathering together of him, for us to go to him, the rapture is going to happen, but not as we've been taught. Shaul makes it clear this must take place first. The falling away has to happen first, and then the man of lawlessness must be revealed. He hasn't been revealed yet. And not only has he not been revealed yet, but he is going to wage war against the saints, Revelation chapter 13. And he is going to overcome the saints. That is you and me. Let me tell you something. A person who is not prepared for a match in a boxing ring has no hope. Because the guy who's across the ring from him, who has been training day in and day out, and he was preparing for that fight, he's going to overcome that guy or that woman who stepped in the ring with him and wasn't prepared. That's what's happening to the Christian church. You have all been fed this lie from Satan to say, don't get ready for the fight. Don't get in the ring. You don't have to worry about getting in the ring because you can go out. There's a way of an escape for you. There's the exit. And the whole time there is no exit. And he's telling you, ooh, you don't have to get in the ring. And that day comes. And you're forced into the ring. Guess what's going to happen to your eyes? Guess what's going to happen to your heart? Guess what's going to happen to your thought? Guess what's going to happen to your peace? It's all out the window. You're going to panic. You're going to panic. And they're going to say, little Tommy, little Susie, if you want your life back the way it was before all this occurred, just put your right hand right here. Take this. Take this right here. There, now you can get back in society. You can buy, you can sell, you can trade. And guess what? You still get to learn. You get to still love and preach Jesus. A lot of people don't understand what is happening right before their very eyes. Notice what it says here as we continue to read about lawlessness, about not following Torah, not following the commandment. Check this out, Christians. I'm saying this because I used to be one of you who would not take anything else but Christian doctrine, and that's all I wanted to know. But in saying that, weren't we not told to test all things? Think about it. How do you know something is true unless you test it? I've said this before, and I'm going to share it again before we read the rest of this. Imagine this for a second in your mind, that this piece of iron is all gold. It was painted to look like a golden nugget, right? And I said, here, take this. I give it to you as a gift. And you're like, wow, man, really? But I didn't do anything. I don't deserve this. Why would you give this to me? Oh no, it's yours. I want to give it to you freely. Here, no strings attached. Here, take it. Now, if you just take it at my word and you never check to see if it's true, you've allowed yourself to be deceived because you didn't check it. So you deceived yourself. The lie that was fed to you because you never wanted to look into it. Some of you are scared to look into it because you might be scared of what you'll find out. Others of you are so arrogant that you think that you already know the truth. I don't need to look anymore. But that's not really testing it, is it? Because you're that guy that I just gave this to and you didn't test it. Because you respected the position that I was in authority behind a pulpit or on TV. And I got a whole bunch of followers. And so you're like, this guy can't be wrong. Look at all these other people that are following him. And he seems to know what he's talking about. But you still didn't check it. So who's the one who's deceived here? The one who's telling you to check it? See what you believe in to see if it's really what you have, if it's really what you think you have? And then you start rubbing this golden nugget. Man, let me see. Let me take this. I'm going to take this to a jeweler and I'm going to have it checked. Now you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now you're looking into the matter because you're skeptical. There's nothing wrong with being a skeptic. There is nothing wrong with being a skeptic. I'd rather be a skeptic than somebody who just takes something in without questioning it. That's a fool. I'd rather be called a skeptic. That's right, I'm skeptic. I'm skeptic of what the government is doing. I'm skeptic of what the pastor is talking about. I'm skeptic of everything that I'm seeing on TV. I'm wondering if it's real or not. I'm skeptic of the person who is right across the street from me, who's supposed to be my neighbor, until he shows me otherwise. I got to see his fruits. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical, and I'm proud to be skeptical. Because I'm going to check. I'm going to see. I'm going to test if it's true or not. I'm testing my friendships. I'm testing my my Codys that are around me. Are they true? Are they real? Is this someone that I can lean on? And I can share things? It's the same thing with this walk. Yahuah says, test me and see. Test me and see if I won't open up the windows of heaven for you. So how do you test him? You got to test his word. He says, remind me of my word. Bring it back to my remembrance. Not that he needs you to remind him. It's for you to know that you know his word. He wants to hear it coming out of your mouth. Just like you over here saying all these songs that you loved when you was growing up. You know every lyric, every word before it even comes out. You already know it. It's like clockwork in your brain. And you already know it. You're singing along with the artist. Well, why aren't you singing along with this artist? The one who gives you the words that has fashioned the heavens and the earth. Why aren't you knowing those words like you know those people who are singing these devilish songs? You need to test it. And this is what I'm telling you. So now let's get back to what we're talking about in 2 Thessalonians about lawlessness. Because I'm going to show you, those of you who have never heard this or have not preached this to you before, how Christianity has lied to us. And I'm going to show you proof straight through the word. Straight through the word. But you got to have the word, the heart to stomach it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard to hear this truth. Because it was hard for me as well. And it was hard for a lot of us that are in here right now. We've heard this. This is why we come together and we support others like yourself who are seeking the truth. And we come together so that we may learn together. He says again, starting at verse 3, let no one deceive you in any way, because of the falling away is to come first. And the man of lawlessness, Torahlessness, one who doesn't follow the law, is to be revealed, the son of destruction. This is the anti-Messiah. So these two things must happen. The falling away and the man of lawlessness, the anti-Messiah, is to be revealed. Hasn't been revealed yet. People saying, oh, it's President Trump. We don't know that. Stop making false accusations. You're breaking the 9th commandment by doing that. Until the revelation has been given, we should not put that on any man. I have my ideas. I'm looking at certain people, but I am not going to tell the rest of the world, he's the anti-Messiah, as if I know for certain. We are not to be the accusers of our brethren. So it goes on and says, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Yahuah Elohim, or that is worship, so that he sits as Yahuah Elohim in the dwelling place. This is going to be this false third temple of Yahuah Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Do you remember, or you not remember, that I told you this while I was still with you? This is what Shaul is saying. And now you know what restrains. Now you know what is holding back for him. Who's him? This man of lawlessness to be revealed in his time. It's for a particular time. Yahuah has a date that he has set that is going to go forth throughout the camp of Yasharal. This is the anti-Messiah that was written of. And we're going to know. It's going to be revealed to us, not to the rest of the world. The rest of the world don't know that this man is a man of lawlessness because they don't know the law. So how could they know this man who doesn't know the law is the one who is the lawless one? He's just like them. They're all lawless. It's the ones who are following the law that knows those who don't follow the law because they're not keeping certain things that Yahuah told us to keep. This is why he says the Sabbath, the true Sabbath, shall be a sign between us and him. This is why he's given us the new and true calendar. Let me say renewed calendar. He has restored it unto his people that has been lost for centuries because we were taught the lie. We were given the lying calendar that was given to us by the mother church. It's called the Gregorian calendar. So he says, do you not remember that I told you this while I was still with you? And now you know what restrains for him to be revealed in his time. For the secret, the mystery of lawlessness, yours will say iniquity, which is why you don't understand what it's actually telling you, is literally saying the secret of not following the Torah is already at work. It was already at work in the times of Shaul, in the times of Paul. People walked away from the true teachings of the Messiah. The Messiah says you are to keep the commandments if you want everlasting life. And there was people already saying, no, you don't have to keep the commandments to have everlasting life. Just like we're hearing people today in Christianity. This was already started back then, during the times of Shaul. He says it's already at work. Only until he who now restrains or holds back comes out of the mist, and then the lawless one shall be revealed. So what is that? When is he going to be revealed? According to this, it's not going to happen until somebody says, okay, no more. Stop restraining it. Let the floodgates go. Come on out of the way. Stop holding it back. Let the evil flourish. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the Archangel Michael. Daniel chapter 12 and Revelation chapter 12. Let's read it. Daniel chapter 12. Verse 1. Now at that time, Mikael, you know him as Michael, shall stand up. What time are we talking about? This is going to be the time of tribulation, time of distress. Notice what it says. Again, now at that time, Mikael shall stand up, the great head who is standing over the sons of your people. Whose people? Yashra'al. Not the Chinese, not the Japanese, not the Koreans, not the Mexicans, not the Filipinos, not the Canadians, not the Russians, not the Great British. No, it's none of them. Your people. He's talking to Daniel. Who's Daniel's people? The Israelites. The real, true Israelites. The one who's standing over your people, and there shall be a time of distress such as never was since there was a nation until that time. Why does that sound so familiar? Didn't the Messiah just say something like that? Didn't we just read something like that in Matthew chapter 24? Let's go back and look at that again. For then there shall be great distress. The King James Version says there shall be a great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. That sounds just like what we just read here in Daniel chapter 12, where it says this. And there shall be a time of distress, such as never since there was a nation until that time. So Michael, he's the restrainer, just like it says in the book of Revelation, chapter 12. What does it say in Revelation chapter 12? Verse 7. And there came to be fighting or wars in the heaven. Michael and his messengers, the Malachim, the angels, fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers, the angels, fought. But they, that is the dragon, and those fallen ones with him, were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them, these fallen ones, with the dragon in heaven any longer. Why? It says, and that great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, just in case you don't know who this dragon is, who leads all the world astray. How does he lead them astray? Through lying false religions like Christianity and Islam. He was thrown down to the earth, and his messengers were thrown down with him. This is the restraining. The archangel Michael and the angels that are under his authority are the restrainers. It is until they are taken out of the way, then the anti-Messiah shall be revealed. Why? Because the dragon has come down to the earth. Notice what it says here. And I heard a loud voice, verse 10, saying in the heaven, now have come the deliverance, the salvation, and the power, and the reign of our Yahuah Elohim, our mighty of mighty ones, and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren, who's the accuser of our brethren? Satan, who accused them before Yahuah Elohim day and night, just like he did with Job when he presented himself before the throne of Abba Yahuah in Job chapter 1. He accused Job in Yahuwah's face. He was thrown down. Thrown down where? He was thrown down to the earth. He was thrown to the earth. But notice what it says. And they, here's a side note. And they, who's they? The saints overcame him. Who's him? Satan, because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their witness. That's the testimony that we were reading about earlier. And they did not love their lives to the death. Hello, everyone. Hello, Christians. Notice what's getting ready to happen. You better get ready for this fight. You better get ready to strap up your Timberlands. You better put on your gloves. You better get ready for this fight. Stop thinking that you're escaping. You're not escaping. You need to come out of her, my people, as it says in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. Come out of her teachings. Come out of her doctrines. She has lied to you. You have drunken of her wine, and you don't even know that you're drunk because you are stumbling all over the place. You are not on the straight and narrow. You are on the wide, broad road that is leading you straight to destruction unless you come out of her. This is what we're living in right now. This is why he's opening up the eyes of his people for those who have eyes to see and have ears to hear what thus says the Ruach, the Spirit of Yahuwah. We have been asleep. Stop being asleep like the 5 foolish virgins. Matthew chapter 25. You need to wake up because the bridegroom is about to come. But before he shows up, there's going to be a time like no other time, nor ever shall be. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. It is the time of Israel's trouble. Those who are native born and those who have been grafted in, because we believe the testimony of the Messiah. And just like the apostles had to give their lives, guess what you have to do? If the Messiah had to give his life and the apostles had to drink of the same cup, what makes you think that you're not going to have to drink of the same cup as well? Don't nobody want to suffer. I get it. Don't nobody want to be tortured. I understand. Even Peter understand that. That's why he denied our Messiah 3 times. Because he was afraid. But when he saw the resurrection of the Messiah, he was bold as a lion. He was like, oh man, I believe now. I see he is the Messiah. I was just saying it with my mouth, but my heart wasn't really with him until he resurrected and I saw him with my own eyes. And now Kappa Peter's like, I believe, I'm willing to die. In fact, don't even hang me like you hang my Mashiach. Hang me upside down. I'm not worthy to even die the way he died. Hang me the opposite. That's where we're supposed to be in our walk. I just showed you that the pre-tribulation rapture is a lie. I'm using the same verbiages of passages, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 51. The last trumpet. That last trumpet is the seventh trumpet. I showed you in Revelation chapter 11, the seventh trumpet, where it talks about how the prophets and the saints who were dead were given their rewards. What is the reward? Everlasting life. Why don't we want to believe this? Because you read something like this in Revelation chapter 3. Let me show you something. This is why you have to understand this book. You got to know the true prophecies. Because if you don't understand, you're going to say, see, look, it says that these people are going to be kept from that hour. Okay, well, let's read it. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you from the hour of trial. We know this to be the great tribulation that shall come upon all the world to try, to test those who dwell on the earth. So who is this promise made to? Is it to the Christians? No. You know why? Because you're not keeping his word of endurance. You're keeping the word of, I want to get out of here. These people love the brethren, hence why they're called the Assembly of Philadelphia, brotherly love. These people, they have not denied his name, his true name, Yahusha, not Jesus. These people, they guard his word. What does his word say? He says, keep my commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. John chapter 14, verse 15. What commandments is he talking about? Well, if he's the word of Elohim, if he's the word of God, what is the word? What are the commandments? Are they not the 10 commandments? Yes. And even more than the 10 commandments. We're to keep the dietary laws. We're to keep the sexual laws. The only laws that we don't keep is the temple, the animal sacrifice, ceremonial laws. We observe those now. We commemorate those things for what they were, as we understand that with what the Mashiach has done for us. But that does not negate that you don't keep those 7 appointed times called our feast days, our high days, the true holidays, not these pagan holidays that the church has given you in this Roman Empire with the Holy Roman Empire, with their Holy Roman Church called Catholicism. And she has many daughters called evangelicals and the Protestants. These are the daughters of Rome, the daughters of the Vatican. They all do Sunday worship. They all call him Jesus the Christ. They all don't keep the commandments. They all keep these pagan holidays. They all are under the Gregorian calendar that has been given to them by the Romans. And the world follows that calendar to this very day for commerce. They have taken us off of Yahuah's calendar. And so the only ones who are seeing this calendar are the ones who know his name, the ones who know to keep the commandments, those who know to keep the Shabbat, the true Shabbat. These are the ones that their eyes are opening up to the true calendar. Because you have guarded my word of endurance, I shall also guard you from the hour of trial that shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. Do we have a second witness to this? Yes, let's go to Luke chapter 21. What does it say in Luke chapter 21 about these people who are not going to be here during that time? Watch then at all times, Luke chapter 21, verse 36, and Paul, pray that you be counted, there's a number, that you be counted worthy to escape all this that is about to take place and stand before the Son of Adam. Who are those who are going to be counted to escape and stand before the Son of Adam, stand before the Messiah? Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked and saw a lamb. There's the Messiah, the Son of Adam, standing on Mount Zion. What Mount Zion is this? It's not the earthly one, it's the heavenly one. And with him, 144,000. Oh, these were the ones who were counted worthy to escape those things that are about to come upon this earth, to test those who dwell upon it. They have their Father's name written upon their foreheads. This is the 144,000. They're the only ones who shall not be here during the time of trial. Everyone else is going through the great tribulation. And those of us who know this truth, most of us are going to have to give our lives for it. That is the Yah honest truth. Now, let's go here to the name. Mia, to be one of the 144,000 is not as easy as me just telling you to answer your question. But let me say this in a summary form. The 144,000 are not 144,000 virgin Jewish boys with curly locks who call themselves Israelis. Okay? The 144,000 are 12,000 from each tribe, and Judah, Jew, is only one of the 12 tribes. And those Jewish people aren't even from the tribe of Judah to begin with. So take them out of the equation. They're not even who we're talking about here. The 144,000 are 12,000 from each tribe. They consist of male and females. And from my understanding, now this what I'm about to share with you is my opinion, and I'm getting this opinion from the book of Numbers, also known as the book of census. Just like in the book of Revelation chapter 7, when there was a census taken of the 12 tribes of Yasharal, 12,000 from each tribe, hence 12,000 times 12 gives you 144,000. The book of Numbers says that this is how you are to number the children of Israel. All those who are 20 years old and over, a male, okay, the head of their house, from each tribe, 20 years old and over, right? This is how the tribes were numbered, not according to each and every individual, but each and every household. Now, each household has a person that's a head who had to meet the requirement of being a male, first of all, and over 20 years old, second of all, and then who was able for war. That's the third requirement. Hey, spiritually speaking, as we were speaking earlier, the 144,000 is more than just male. It could also be a female. One would say, well, how is a female to be a head over a household? I would have you go and look at the story of Rahab. This prostitute saved her family because of her belief. Her father and her mother, her brothers and sisters and their children We're all saved because of her belief of what can happen if she didn't become Yasharal. And so she hid out the 2 spies. But again, that's who the 144,000 is. If you lined yourself up by keeping the commandments, mix, you too could be one of these 144,000. Not everybody who's hearing me right now is one of the 144,000. I don't even count myself to be worthy to be one. If I am, praise Abba Yahuah. But in my mind, I'm ready for the fight. In my mind, I'm looking towards what we're getting ready to walk into. I am seeing the signs of the Great Tribulation about to come over the horizon. I see the day when you cannot buy, sell, or trade unless you have this digital mark that is going to connect you to the beast system so that you are part of their commerce. This whole thing that the Seventh-day Adventist is teaching is false for those of you who are following Ellen G. White's teachings of the Great Controversy. You want to believe in a Sunday law as being the mark of the beast? By all means, you can go ahead and believe that. It is part of the beast system, nonetheless. But it is not the mark that is going to allow you to be able to buy, sell, or trade unless you have the mark. This thing is physical. Satan wants everyone else to know who has branded themselves to be his child and who has neglected to be a follower of Yahuah. So they become children of lawlessness because they're not keeping law. They're not keeping Torah. They're not keeping the commandments. The Messiah says, do not take the mark. That's a commandment. Anyone who takes the mark shall be tortured. They shall have no rest day or night before the set apart messengers and before the Lamb. And the torture of their smoke goes up forever and ever. They have no rest day or night. I don't know what else to tell you. If a person is dead, then I guess they are resting in peace, as we would say, right? If there's nothing left of them, even consciousness, then they are rest. They no longer exist. They're resting. Well, why are we told in the book of Revelation, chapter 14, that they have no rest? They have no rest. Let me read it to you. You see, people like to water down or splash the flames of the lake of fire as if it's only for a moment. Scripture doesn't teach that. The Messiah even says it's better for you to pluck out that eye that causes you to offend than for your whole body to be thrown into the lake of fire. There's something to this. You can water down hell all you want, as they would say in the English, which is actually a pagan word in itself, of Greece. But notice what it says here. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. And a third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he also shall drink the wine of the wrath of Yahuah Elohim that is poured out undiluted, meaning it's at its full strength, into the cup of his wrath, his anger. And he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set apart messengers, that is from before the Malachim, the angels, and before the Lamb, that is before the Messiah. And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever. But notice the next sentence. And they have no rest, day or night. Those worshiping the beast and his image. Also, if anyone receives the mark of his name. Now, it says that they have no rest, day or night. When other time has this been used? Let's go to Revelation. Chapter 4, verse 8. And the 4 living beings, each having 6 wings, were covered with eyes around and within, and they do not cease, and they do not cease, and they do not cease, day or night, saying, set apart, set apart, set apart, Kadash, 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 Yahuah Al Shaddai, Yahuah Almighty, who was, who is, and who is coming. They don't stop saying this. This is an eternal praise before the throne of Yahuah. So if this does not cease day or night, what makes you think that this one means something different? Hmm? And they have no rest day or night. And they have no rest day or night. What is this day or night? We know there's no night in heaven. It's telling us a process of time as we understand it in an earthly understanding. A day and a night represents to us a full day. It's perpetual. This forever. And anybody who's teaching you otherwise is lying to you. Don't make it seem like, oh, it's worth doing all this sin because you know what? It's only going to hurt for a moment. And then I'm out of there. I won't feel nothing. I won't even exist. I won't even know anything. It'll be just like before I was alive. I didn't even know that I knew myself. I just had no idea that I even existed. This is the concept that people are teaching others. Do you not understand that you have a part of you that comes from the eternal being, the creator of heaven and earth? He gave you a piece of him. And that part that he gave of himself to you is eternal. There's no end to your life. It's either you're going to live with him or you're going to be separated from him forever. That's it. People over here talking all kinds of nonsense. This is part of some of the things that I would have to say that I agree with some of the teachings of Christianity. You see, people want to take and throw out everything, the child with the bathwater. They think they're only keeping the child. But really what they thrown out was the bathwater. We got to get reconstructed in our brain to be deprogrammed, to reprogram ourselves in the scripture. Because I'm going to show y'all something right now for those of you who thought that you weren't supposed to keep the commandments because the Messiah said you are, and yet Christianity is telling you you don't have to. In fact, before I show it to you, which one of you that are listening right now, give me a 1 if you believe that the law has been done away with. Give me a 1. And it's not to embarrass you. I want to show you the truth. And I hope you're interested in hearing the truth. If you believe that the law has been done away with and you don't have to follow it anymore, really, Lauren? I don't think you'd believe that. So there's nobody here that believes in the law being done away with? I see 0, but I don't know what 0 means. Okay, Cody, Lauren, no worries. So all of us in here, I'll be preaching to the choir to show you that the commandments is still to be kept. The other thing, his name is very important. Let's go into a deeper understanding here. Let's go to the book of Exodus. In the book of Exodus, give me a second. Okay, those are the laws concerning the servants. Let me go a little further here. Where is it? Where? Okay, yes, here we go. I want you to see this. There's a parallel that was told to us with the children of Yasharal. This is why we know that we are in the wilderness of the peoples right now. We are in the so-called second Exodus right now. Okay, this is not something that's going to happen in the future where you're going to get gathered up and Yahuwah is going to go before you and take out you out of this world and have you out in the wilderness and he's going to talk to you. That is happening right now, symbolically speaking. He is talking to us in the wilderness right now because we're not in the promised land. Okay? He's talking to us while we're still being influenced with Egypt ideology. Egypt is a mindset. The world is a mindset. This is why Yohanan, John, says in his book, anyone who loves the world or the things in it, Yahuwah, is in separation with that person. There's a separation between you and Yahuwah because we're not supposed to love the things of this world, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, right? We're not to fall in love with this world. What is it? Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Yeah, that's what it is. And so we're to have this different mentality. So what we're getting ready to read right now about the golden calf, I want you to see this with spiritual eyes. Check this out. So it talks about here, before we go into verse 32, Yahuwah gave Moses, the first set of the stone of the law, okay, the Torah. He gave him the first set. It says here, and when he had ended speaking with him, with Moshe, on Mount Sinai, he gave Moshe 2 tablets of witness, or 2 tablets of the testimony, the agreement. Tablets of stone, written with the finger of Yahuah Elohim. And it goes on and says, and when the people saw that Moshe was so long in coming, Moshe here represents typology of the Messiah. Moshe represents the Messiah already resurrected. Moshe represents the second coming of the Messiah. So it says, Moshe was so long in coming down from the mountain. He was so long from coming back from the kingdom of Yahuwah. The people gathered together to Aaron, gathered together with their priests, their pastors, their teachers, their leaders, and said to them, Pastor, arise and make us a mighty one who goes before us. For this Moshe, the man who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage, we do not know what has become of him. We don't know what's happened to the original Messiah. Make us a Messiah that we can say that goes before us. That we can say, and so Aaron, so your priests, they said, okay, take off your gold earrings, give me your money that are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. Bring me what you use to feed your family, this gold, this currency, and give it to me, your pastor. And I'm going to give you the Messiah, the pastor that you want. I'm going to teach it to you just the way you want it. And so all the people took off their golden earrings. All the people started paying the priest that were in their ears, their itching ears, and brought them to Aaron. Here's the money. Teach us what we want to know. Make us a mighty one after what we like. And he took this from their hand and he formed it. He formed what? He formed a doctrine for them. He formed a tradition for them with a graven tool, with his understanding, and made a molded calf. He made an idol. He made an idol He gave you an idol. And they said, notice that, the people said, this is your mighty one, O Yasharal, that brought you out of the land of Mizraim. This is your savior, Christians. This blonde-haired, blue-eyed man that Rome gave you. He's called Jesus the Christ, who was hanging on a cross. This is your Messiah, who brought you out of the world, who got you out of that addiction. And Aaron saw and built a slaughter place before it. And your pastors made churches and made pulpits around it, and they call it the altar. And Aaron called out and said, tomorrow is a festival to Yahuah. What festival? Was it a festival that Yahuah says, this is my holiday, you guys are going to worship now? Or did your pastor said, today is Easter. Let us celebrate the resurrection of our Messiah, of our Christ, and gave it to the people. And they worshiped it. They worshiped on that day. Not the day that Yahuah gave them. No, they worshiped what the pastor gave them. And they followed their pastor. And they rose early the next day and offered ascending offerings. You guys were singing and praising to Jesus and brought peace offerings. You brought your purses and your wallets. And the people sat down and eat and drink. You guys ate there in the assembly and rose up to play, singing hallelujah together. But notice what's happening up in heaven. Notice what's happening with Moses and Yahuah on top of the mountain in the kingdom. That's what the mountain represents. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Yahuah said to the Messiah, go, get down, for your people, whom you brought out of the land of Mizraim, have corrupted themselves. They done corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way. What is the way? Didn't the Messiah say, I am the way, the truth, and the life? You can't get to the Father but through him. You have to go through the Son to get to the Father. You cannot go around the Son to get to the Father. You must go through the Son. He's the conduit. People want to go around the Son. You can't go around the Son. They have made themselves a molded calf. They had made themselves new doctrines and have bowed themselves to it. They have put themselves under subjugation to those doctrines and slaughtered to it. They made sacrifices in their life to follow those doctrines of the teachings of men and said, this is your mighty one, O Yasharal. This is your mighty one, O Christians, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of the house of bondage, out of all those things that you were caught in doing, your habits that he broke away from you. And Yahuah said to Moshe, to the Messiah, I have seen this people, and see, it is a stiff-necked people. Meaning that we're an ignorant people. We will not keep his commandments. We done made commandments for ourselves. We done made doctrines and teachings for ourselves. And we have raised up pastors, leaders for ourselves with our own currency. And we sit in their pagan temples and we give them money every Sunday and every Wednesday to itch our tickling ears to our fancy with that doctrine that we want to hear. Because we're not going to go down to a Schofield church where they speak all this Calvinism. No. We like a Baptist church. And then and those who are in Calvinists, they're like, oh, no, we're not going there. We're not going to an apostolic church. No, we like the church we're at. And the apostolic is saying, oh, no, we don't like the church down the street who are the assemblies of God. No, we're going to stay doing what we're doing. Is the body of the Messiah split up? Or are they following some other doctrine? They're following some other doctrine. They're following leaders. They are stiff-necked people, stubborn people who will not listen to the truth. And so Yahuah says, leave me alone. I'm angry. And I'm going to burn against them. I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to consume them. And I'm going to make you. I'm going to start all over with you, Masha. I'm going to start all over with you. I'm going to bring up a new nation of people. These right here that I brought out, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. But Masha pleaded with Yahuah. This is what the Son did. The Messiah did the same thing. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They have no idea what they're doing. This is what we're getting out of this. And so he goes on and says, Yahuah, why does your anger burn against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt, with great power and with a strong hand, who removed those addictions away from you by his ruach, by his mighty hand? Why should the Mizrites speak? Why should the world speak and say, for evil, for disobedience, he brought them out to unalive them in the mountains, that is, in the nations. He brought them into the land of their captivity to kill them in the nations, the mountains, to consume them from off of the face of the earth. And so then he says, turn from the heat of your anger and relent, change your mind from this thing that you're going to do to your people because of their disobedience. And so what does the Mashiach do? What does this Masha do as an archetype of the Messiah? He remembers his agreement. He remembers his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Yasharal, your servants, to whom you swore by yourself and said to them, I increase your seed like the stars in the Shamaim, and all this land that I have spoken or I've given to your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. So who's going to inherit this forever? Those who are of the seed of Abraham. But what was it that Abraham believed? Did he not do works? Yes, he did. He did it through obedience. He had to act upon the commandments that Yahuah gave him to do. And Yahuah relented from the evil that he said that he would do to the people. So this takes us before the Messiah came, symbolically speaking. Here we're being told how Masha was an archetype of the first generation of the children of Yasharal. We're being told a story here that literally was lived out by Masha and the children of Yasharal, but was also showing at the same time, or foreshadow, that the children of Yasharal were going to destroy the first agreement. And this is how we see it. It says, and Masha turned and went down from the mountain. This is when the Messiah first appeared to his people. And in his hands were the 2 tablets of the witness of the testimony. Remember, he is the word manifested. The tablets written on both of their sides, written on one and on the other. And the tablets were the work of Yahuah Elohim. And the Messiah, who came in the flesh, was a work of Yahuah Elohim. This is how he was in the womb of Mary, a virgin birth. It was a work of Elohim. And the writing was the writing of Yahuah Elohim engraved on the tablets. Remember, he is the word manifested. And Yahusha, that is, I am salvation, heard the noise of the people as they shouted. And he said to Masha, a noise of battle in the camp. But he, Masha, said, it is not the sound of those who shout of might, nor is it of the sound of those who cry out in their weakness, but the sound of singing that I hear. So not only did they break the commandments, but they were rejoicing while doing it. They rejoiced while doing it. They saw all the mighty wonders of Yahuah, how he split the sea, how the Egyptians drowned, how they come up out of that sea. They were immersed in the water, symbolically speaking. They were supposed to be new people on the other side of the Red Sea, coming up out of the water. Just like when you're immersed, you come up as a new creation in the Messiah. Verse 19, and it came to be as soon as he came near the camp, as the Messiah, symbolically speaking, hear me out, Mishpachah, as the Messiah grew up, as he started living amongst his people, as soon as he came near the camp of his people, that he saw the calf, he saw that they were not following the truth, and they were dancing, they were celebrating while they were not following the truth, because they were following this calf. They made themselves their own commandments of men, just like the Pharisees and Sadducees did. And Masha's displeasure and Yahusha's displeasure burned, and he threw the tablets down out of his hands. And what did the Messiah do when he entered the temple for the first time as an adult? He overthrew the tables, didn't he? He sure did. They made a mockery of the temple. And he broke them at the foot of the mountain. He broke them at the foot of the kingdom of Yahuah. And he took the calf that they had made and burned it in fire and ground it into powder and scattered it on the face of the water and made the children of Yasharal drink it. Drink it. This is my cup. This is my blood. I do this as a renewed agreement. I shall not taste of this or taste of the vine until my Father's kingdom comes. And in anew, I will do this with you, right? So he made the children of Yasharal drink. And Masha said to Aaron, what this people do to you, that you have brought this so great of a sin upon them. This is the teaching. We're the ones who brought this upon our pastors and preachers and teachers. Notice what Aaron says. And Aaron said, do not let the displeasure of my master burn. You know this people, that it is an evil, that they're evil people, that they are not obedient people. They're hard-headed. They're stiff-necked people. They said to me, they said to Aaron, they said to the pastors, make us a mighty one who goes before us. Give us a Messiah that allows us to be like the heathens, where we can do Christmas, where we can do Easter, where we can do Mother's Day and Father's Day, where we can celebrate 4th of July, where we can have our children celebrate in costumes and dress up as ghouls and goblins on Halloween, where we can celebrate and say that we had a time with the Pilgrims and with the Native Americans and call it Thanksgiving. None of this is out of Scripture. None of this was commanded by Yahuah, but it was given to you, and you like it so. Christians find nothing wrong with doing these pagan things, but tell them to do any of those holidays that the Messiah gave us, and they say, oh, that's been done away with. It's been nailed to the cross. Can you show me that? Where does that say that in the New Testament? Where does it say that the Sabbath and all the appointed days have been nailed to the cross and you don't have to do it anymore? Why? Because the Messiah says it is done, it is finished? Did he say that the law was done and that it was finished? No, he didn't. On the contrary, he said just the opposite. Let's hold our place here because we're not done in Exodus chapter 32. What did he say here? In Matthew chapter 5. He says, verse 17, do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. How is your reading comprehension? To nail something to the cross, wouldn't that mean to destroy? To abolish the law, wouldn't that also mean to destroy? To avoid the law, would that not also mean to destroy? But he says, I did not come to destroy. I did not come to abolish. I did not come to do away or void out the law, but to complete it. He came here to fulfill what was written because he is that word. He didn't put it away. He came here to complete it. He didn't come here to destroy it. He says this, for truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, 1 yard or 1 tittle shall by no means pass from the law until all be done. This takes us back to what we read in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 about how the secret of lawlessness was already at work. People not following Torah was already at work because the Pharisees and Sadducees was doing it. They were breaking law. They were teaching the commandments of men. And that's exactly what we're being taught in Christianity. We're being taught the commandments of men. We're still being taught not to keep the feast days. We're still being taught not to be obedient to the law. We're still being taught, just like the Pharisees and Sadducees, by adding laws that the Messiah did not give us. They're giving it to us. But the Messiah says this, whoever then breaks one of the least of the commandments and teaches men so, like your pastors, preachers, and teachers and reverends and ministers are doing, they're breaking the commandment because they're not keeping the Sabbath day. They're not keeping the high days, and they're teaching you to do the same. They shall be called the least in the kingdom of the heavens. But notice what the opposite is. But whoever does and teaches them, teaches what? The commandments. He or she shall be called great in the kingdom of the heavens. But wait a minute. Every time we try to tell Christians that they're to keep the commandments, they're talking to us as if we're doing something wrong when we're just only following to what the Messiah said, that we want to teach people that they are to keep the commandments. They are to guard the commandments. But Christianity says, no, we don't keep the commandments no more. We don't guard the commandments anymore. They've been done away with. They've been nailed to the cross. But again, where does it say that in the New Testament? Oh, I know it says it there somewhere. Well, then please do some of your research and show it to me. I can show you the one place where it says it in Colossians, but it has nothing to do with nailing the law to the cross. The Messiah says right here that you are to teach it and you are to do the law. He says the same thing in this book of Matthew to this young rich ruler when he asked this question. And see, one came and said to him, to the Messiah, great teacher, what righteous thing shall I do to have everlasting life? Notice the question. He wants to know what he must do to have everlasting life. What did the Messiah say? He says, you don't have to do anything to have everlasting life. Just believe in me. Let's see what he says. And he, the Messiah, said to him, why do you call me righteous? No one is righteous except one, Yahuah Elohim, the mighty of mighty ones. But if you want to enter into life, what did he say to him? Keep the commandments. Well, you might say in your heart, he's not talking about the law. He's not talking about the law of Moses. Oh, really? Well, let's read the next verse. And this young rich ruler said to him, to the Messiah, which one? And Yahusha, that is his true name, Yahusha, not Jesus. He said, you shall not murder. In case you don't know what number that is, that's the 6th commandment of the 10 commandments. You shall not commit adultery. That's the 7th commandment. You shall not steal. That's the 8th commandment. You shall not bear false witness. That's the 9th commandment. Respect your father and your mother. That's the 5th commandment. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. That is a summary of all these commandments. To love your neighbor as yourself. You will not murder your neighbor. You will not commit adultery with your neighbor's wife. You will not steal from your neighbor. You will not bear false witness against your neighbor. You are respecting your father and your mother because your father and your mother are outside of you. They are considered your neighbor. And so, in doing so, you would have loved your neighbor as yourself. So the Messiah is teaching that you're to keep the commandments if you want everlasting life. He did not say, if you believe in me. Because to believe in him means that you obey him. You just don't say it with your mouth. That's why the Messiah says, you profess me with your mouth, but your heart is far from me. see, your heart condition, your heart posture is that you're keeping his commandments. Where did he say he was going to write his commandments? On your heart. That's the new agreement. That's the renewed covenant. He says, no longer shall I write them on tablets of stone, but he's going to write it on the tablets of our heart and in our minds. Not as he done with our forefathers who came before us, who he brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand and took them out into the wilderness. No, he's going to make a renewed agreement with us. He's going to take those same 10 commandments that he gave the commandments to the children of Yasharal, that he wrote on tablets of stone, and now he is going to write it in our hearts and in our minds to keep them, so that no one will have to teach us to know Yahuah, that we will all know him, from the least of us to the greatest of us, for those who are seeking him with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our strength. He says, and then we shall find him. We shall find him. He shall be found. But they say the commandments have been done away with. I just showed you 2 passages where the Messiah says otherwise. Show me where the Messiah says that you're not to keep the commandments anymore. That's what I want to see. Where in any red letter edition does the Messiah ever say, because of me, because of what I am about to do for you on the cross, you don't have to keep the commandments anymore? Where does he say that? Please show me. Does it come to anybody's mind right now, chapter and verse, of any of the New Testament, just anywhere in the New Testament, from Matthew to Revelation? You won't find it. You won't find it. This is why you have to test Christianity. It's the only religion on the earth that tells you to break the commandments of Yahuah, to break the commandments of Moses. Because they take a passage out of Galatians and don't understand what they're reading. Let me show you what it says here. And I'm going to use an analogy of driving a car, because that seems to work very well with getting this concept across to people about the law. Galatians chapter 3, verse 22 says, but the scripture, that is the Old Testament, the Tanakh, it's not talking about the New Testament. Every time you see the word scripture in the New Testament, is pointing back to Genesis to Malachi. But the scripture has shut up all mankind, all Adam's kind, under transgression. What is this under transgression? That we are all under the penalty of death for breaking the law. That's what sin is, the transgression of the law. That the promise by belief in Yahusha, the Messiah, might be given to those who believe. To those who believe in what? Believe in what he said. Well, what did he say? He said to keep the commandments. He says to pick up your walking stick and follow after me. He says you are to teach others as I have taught you. That's the so-called Great Commission that the Christians love to say, right? He didn't say to teach some other doctrine. He says to teach them what I have taught you. And he taught them to keep the commandments. He taught them, if your right eye causes you to commit adultery, pluck it out. Because it's better for your body to enter into the kingdom maimed than for your whole body to be thrown into the lake of fire. So remove that member that causes you to offend the law of Yahuah. The law is still enacted. Heaven and earth will pass away before his law passes away. Heaven and earth is still here. But before belief came, before Amunah came, we were being guarded under the law, having been shut up for the belief being about to be revealed. Notice what is about to be revealed. Who was about to be revealed? The word manifested in the flesh. The walking Torah, the walking commandments. Therefore, the Torah became our trainer. unto the Messiah, in order to be declared right by belief. So, check this out. Verse 24, therefore, the Torah became our trainer. The Torah became our handbook, our driving manual, how to follow, how to keep the rules. It taught us to follow the Messiah in order to be declared right by belief, by obedience. After the obedience has come, we are no longer in need to be under the trainer, under the driver educator. That's what the law represented. The Messiah had to show us how to drive. The Messiah had to show us how to keep the laws of the road so that we would stay on the straight and narrow and won't get off the pavement. So what is it here that we're being told in verse 25? After the belief, after your obedience to keeping the law has come, we are no longer under a trainer. You no longer have to study that handbook anymore, how to drive, because you are taking the test. This is what we're all doing right now. We're taking the test. We're being tested to see that we know how to drive. Because the Messiah showed us how to drive. He taught us very well. So you cannot be like these Christians that say, well, the Messiah already came, so I don't have to keep the rules of the road anymore. I can just do whatever I want. I can be lawless on the road. I can do burnouts. I can do donuts. If I got a motorcycle, I can do wheelies. I can weave in and out of traffic, getting not only myself in danger of losing my life, but other people that are around me in danger of losing theirs because I don't have love for them. I'm being disrespectful, not only to the law, but I'm being disrespectful to my neighbor. I'm not showing love to my neighbor by keeping the rules of the road. That's what we're being taught here in Galatians chapter 3. Not that the law was done away with. How can the law be done away with? I'm telling you, that would be the same thing as the analogy of after you passed your test and you got your driver's license, you no longer have a permit. And you say, you know what? I done passed the test. Now I can drive however I want. I can drive like a maniac, literally. Well, Yahuah is going to remind you. He's going to discipline you. Woo! Pull over. We're going to have a talk. You know you done messed up, don't you? You know you done messed up, right? No. Don't give me no excuses. You know the law. You were doing 70 in a 25. I'm going to have to give you a ticket. What does the ticket do? It's disciplining you. It's telling you don't mess up again. Okay, get back on the straight and narrow. Get back within the confines of what the law tells you you can and cannot do. And you walk this out. You drive this out. It's the same thing with the law. It's the exact same thing with the law. The only difference is your ticket has been paid. Your ticket, your driving ticket. Whenever you get a driving ticket for some infraction that you did while you was driving, speaking of the law symbolically, and you don't abuse it, listen to what I'm saying, and you don't abuse it because we don't have a license to sin. That's what Shaul says in Romans chapter 6. We don't have the license to continue breaking the law. Yahushua showed us how to walk it out. So walk out the law to the best of your ability. And when you make a mistake, Yahushua's got you covered. He's going to pay your ticket. He's already paid your ticket. But you do not abuse what the Messiah has done for you on your behalf to think that you can just make a phone call and get your way out of paying a ticket. You're just going to use his blood over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because you can do so? We're not talking about somebody who's struggling with sin. We're talking about somebody who is lawless, who says, it doesn't matter. I don't have to follow the law. You're saying that his blood covers you, so you don't have to keep the law whatsoever. Because after all, his blood is covering you, right? No, he's saying to his people, just like he told a woman who was caught committing adultery, and the people of that town brought her before the Messiah and says, what do you think we should do to this woman, Rabbi? Because the law of Moses says that she's to be stoned to death. And the Messiah says, he who is without sin cast the first stone. And they all left. And the Messiah says, where's your accusers? She looked up, didn't see nobody. I have none, Master. He says, neither do I accuse you. Go and transgress. Don't go and sin anymore. Sin no more is what he told the woman. He just didn't stop and say, well, then I don't accuse you anymore either, because I see you believe in me. No, he told her, don't break the commandments anymore. Don't go committing adultery anymore. But you can't tell that to a hard-headed, stiff-necked Christian. That Christian is going to continue on sinning because they haven't been given eyes to see. Are you one of those Christians? I hope you have eyes to see, because we all came out of Christianity as well. We're one of you. If you're listening right now, and that's you, we are one of you, and we have been pricked to the heart with this truth, just like yourself. We all have things that we struggle with. Do you hear me? We all have things that we struggle with. This does not give you a license to say, you know what? Well, Yahuah knows I struggle with this, so I'm just going to give in. No. No, you don't struggle. You just give in. You continue to struggle. You continue to strive. That's why he tells us to strive. That means to fight. That means to battle your way into the truth. You battle your way into that narrow gate. You strive to enter. Endure to the end. Persevere, he says. These are words that are not easy. This isn't no sugar-coated candy cane message. This is why he tells us to repent. If all we had to do is believe in him, why does he tell the 7 assemblies, if you overcome? Overcome what? Overcome the world. Overcome the transgressions of the law. Stop doing the things of the world. Repent. Turn back to the ancient path. So you need to follow the law. You see it all throughout, even in the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 14. You won't get the right to the tree of life and to enter into the gates of Jerusalem unless you're keeping the commandments. That's what it says there. You must keep the commandments. Even the Apostle Paul says the same thing. People want to continue to say that. He said, no, we don't have to keep the commandments. Yeah, okay. It's not what he says over here. Look what he says here. This is chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians, verse 18. Was anyone called while circumcised? Meaning while keeping the law? Thinking that you get your righteousness by keeping the law aside from the Messiah, without the Messiah? Let him not be uncircumcised. Let him not become a Gentile. Was anyone called while uncircumcised as a Gentile? Let him not be circumcised. Let him not go and get the foreskin of his thing clipped, thinking that that's going to save him. So he goes on and says, circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing. He said it has nothing to do with your flesh. But the guarding of the commandments of our mighty one, that's what matters. Notice what Paul says right there, what I got in red. Let me read that to you in the King James Version. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Notice what it says here. Let me get you there. Verse 19. Nope, I went too far. Let's read 18 and 19. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of Elohim. Let everyone abide in the same calling wherein he was called. See, Paul is teaching to keep the commandments. Nowhere does Paul ever tell you that keeping the commandments is wrong. It's the interpretation that has been taught to you by Christianity that says it's wrong. Notice what he says here. I'm showing you what Paul says. This is Romans chapter 3, verse 31. Look, just so you see it. Romans chapter 3, verse 31. Do we then make void the law, that is the Torah, through faith? Yahuah forbid. On the contrary, yes, we establish the Torah. We establish the law. He's not speaking against the law. He's for the law. Let me show you another one in the same book called Romans. Let's go to chapter 7. What does he say here in verse 7? Chapter 7, verse 7 of Romans. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Is the Torah sin? Yahuah forbid. Yahuah forbid. No. I had not known transgression, but by the law. For I had not known what lust was, except the law had said, you shall not covet. You see? Notice what he says in verse 12. Therefore, the law is what? It's pure. The commandment is what? It's pure, just, and righteous. He's not talking evil of the law. But let your pastors and preachers and teachers tell you otherwise. They'll tell you that the law and trying to keep it is wrong. Verse 13, was then that which is righteous made death unto me? Yahuah forbid. But transgression, sin, that it might appear to be sin, working death in me by that which is righteous, or that is righteous, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. For we know that the law is what? Spiritual. But I'm carnal, I'm fleshly, sold under sin. So what's clean here? What's pure here? Me or the law? The law. The law is pure. It's spiritual. It's set apart. Just like Shaul says, Paul says, but we're fleshly, we're carnal, we're sold under, we are slaves to sin. Notice what verse 15 says. This is what I'm talking about those of you who are struggling, not those of you who have just given in and said, no, I don't need to keep the law. This is for those of you who struggle keeping the law. Listen to this. For that I want to do, I allow not. I'm not doing. For what I want to do, that is what I'm not doing. But what I hate, that's what I do. If then I do that what I don't like, I consent with the law, I agree with the law that the law is righteous. It's right. Now then, it is no more I who's doing this, but the law of sin that dwells in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells nothing righteous. For the will to want, you know what he's saying here? For the will is present in me. Or he's saying that I have the will to want to do right. It's in me. But how to perform that, which is righteous, I don't seem to find that in me. For the righteous that I want to do, I'm not doing. But the evil that I don't want to do, that's what I keep doing. Now, if I do not do what I do not want to do, it is no more me that's doing it, but the sin that causes me to do this. So then I find a law that is within me that wants to do righteous, but I also see evil is present within me. For I delight, listen to what Paul is saying. I delight, I love the law of Yahuah Elohim after the inward man, after the spiritual man, the man who wants to do right, the man who's struggling to want to do right. But I see another law that's in my members that is warring against the law of my mind and is bringing me into captivity, is bringing me into slavery, into the law of sin that is into my members. Oh, this nasty, disgusting, wretched, filthy, sinful man that I am. Who shall deliver me from this body of death? I thank Yahuah Elohim through Yahushua the Messiah, our master. So then with the mind, I myself serve the law of Yahuah, but with the flesh, the law of sin. This is the struggle that all of us have for those of us who are walking in this truth. It is not an excuse for you to go and sin some more. Remember what the Messiah said to the woman. Go and sin no more. That's what we strive to do. That's what we're enduring to do. That's what we continue to do, is to walk that straight and narrow. Just like it says in the book of Proverbs, the righteous one falls 7 times, but gets back up. 7 times, falls perfectly. A complete fall, but you get back up. You might have done the dirtiest, evilest, wickedest thing. Yahuah doesn't care. What he cares for is obedience from a sincere heart, from a true and understanding, obedient heart. This is why we got to test Christianity. And I'm going to tell you, Christianity is the beast system. Mark the words. If you've never heard it, you've heard it here. Christianity is the beast system. Get out of it. Remove the crosses off of your neck. Remove that imagery out of your mind. Believe in his word and what he said. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Stop listening to these hirelings who are telling you otherwise, who are telling you to be rebellious, who are telling you you don't have to follow and keep the commandments. You don't have to keep the laws of the dietary laws. You don't have to keep the Sabbath. You don't have to keep the feast days. You don't have to keep anything that the Messiah said, but just believe in him. If they are telling you that, and if that's what you've understood until today, and if that's who you are under, who is teaching you that, run from that place. Run. If they're only teaching you pagan holidays, and you see the Christmas tree up during the Christmas season, and you see the Thanksgiving up in the churches of the kids' rooms, and you see them doing trunk and treat in the parking lot of the church, or harvest time, whatever they want to rename it. If they're telling you to acknowledge your mother on Mother's Day, that has been unctioned by the Catholic Church, who has so-called blessed that day for the mothers on that particular Sunday of May, and then turn around and tell you the same thing on the next month in June, that this is Father's Day that they have blessed on that particular day called Sunday in June. Come out of those pagan rituals. Don't follow their ways. They are leading you astray. And the Messiah has warned us of these people who would lead us astray. They are teaching us the doctrines of the commandments of men. Please look into this matter. We can go on and on about this. All I can tell you is that Yahuah is opening up the eyes of his people. And again, if you're one of those people, he's seeking you out. You are one of those one out of the 99 that he's left to go after you so that you may know this truth, because not everyone has been called. He says many have been called, not everyone. Not all have been called. Many of the all have been called. And out of the many, few have been chosen. This is why he says only a few find eternal life. Only a few find it. Narrow is that way that leads to life. And we have to strive to enter, because this walk is difficult. It's narrow. And you got to keep the commandments. You cannot drive recklessly in this world. Seek him while he may be found, because time is running out. Time is running out. I want to thank all of you for being here, and thanking you for those of you who come together with us on the weekends. Tomorrow is our Sabbath, and we're going to get into some word tomorrow. It's for us, the believers. I know we were going to get into the rest of Exodus chapter 32, but we'll do that tomorrow. About the covenants and how the life of Masha, the life of Moses, and the children of Yasharal literally shows us the first and second coming of the Messiah. The children of Yasharal, their journey in the wilderness is paralleling the second Exodus that we're in right now. We are going to be in the wilderness for 40 Jubilee years. A year for a Jubilee for a year. The children of Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 Jubilee years are accounted to the children of Yasharal until they enter into the promised land. And Yahusha, that is Joshua, is the one who's taking us over the Jordan, over the Yarden, into the promised land, just like we're told in Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. He is so worthy. I'm so thankful to be alive right now at this time. I really am. And to see the things that are happening right before our eyes. Please continue to pull off for one another. May we all pray for each other. May we not give up in what Yahuah has called us to do. May we continue to seek his face while he may be found. May we continue to pull off for our friends and our family. May we not go astray from keeping his commandments, Mishpachah. And let us do the work of an evangelist. Let us continue to support one another. And those of you who have been supporting me with your palals, and those of you who support me with your finances, I thank you for that. Even though I've never asked for a penny, I appreciate you that you give that to me from your heart. And may Abba Yahuah barak you and keep you for doing that for me, and that he may give you back what you have given to me. And I thank you again. And I use it usually when we come together. You know, we come out of our pockets for a lot of things. So I am not in this to be making no money. My wife is not in this to be making no money. We do this because we care for the Mishpachah, and we care to do the truth and to walk the truth as we have been commanded by our Mashiach. That's why we do what we do. So with that being said, let's do the Aaronic Barakah, Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. I want to thank all of my moderators for all that you all do. Without you, this would be very difficult to do. Keep all the riffraff out. I thank you all for your patience and for your kindness dealing with those people and having to remove them for us as the Mishpachah. We appreciate you. We really do. Verse 22. And Moshe said, and Yahuah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is how you barak the children of Yasharah. Say to them, Yahuah barak you and guard you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Yasharah, and I myself shall barak them. Hallelujah. Mishpachah. May Yahuah continue to keep you and guide you. May he continue to allow the countenance of his light to shine upon you and your Mishpachah. In the mighty name of his Bein Yahushua HaMashiach. Hallelujah. Amat. For those of you who are asking if we're going to TikTok, no, we're not. I will see you all tomorrow after doing the work today, and then being here sitting for 2 hours. My mind is getting tired, so I'm going to have to retreat for a little bit and come back together with you all tomorrow on our Shabbat. Shalom, Mishpachah. Shalom.